What's going on, you guys? This is Ron with your stimulus package update and second stimulus check update. I've got the latest updates on stimulus package negotiations taking place between House Speaker Nancy Pelosi as well as Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, as well as many people who are receiving Social Security benefits, SSI, SSDI, may be eligible for more than $2,400 in additional benefits. But of course, I'm going to get into all of these details in just a moment, so you definitely want to stick around until the end of this video to get all of the information. But before I get into that, I just want to say welcome back to all my subscribers. And to those of you guys who are brand new to the channel, my name is Ron. We cover all things personal finance, investing, and of course, stimulus checks and stimulus packages. So if you have not already, definitely hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell so that you know as soon as I release new videos and content. And if you haven't checked out the Financial Freedom Program already, definitely do so down below, where I share all of my investment strategies and hacks, and also how I managed to boost my credit score to over 800 points. So definitely check that out. Link in the description down below, and let's get into the content. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez essentially went off on one of President Trump's top economic advisors for even suggesting that additional virus relief is not needed to support the American people. This was in response to a statement that was made on Wednesday, just yesterday, by Stephen Moore, when he said that he did not expect Republicans to meet Democrats' demands for local and state government aid, a key sticking point in stimulus negotiations, but maintained that the nation's economy has already started a faster than expected recovery from the worst downturn in decades. He said, "I don't see Republicans budging on the blue state bailout. The economy is doing fine, much better than anyone expected. We think the economy is strong because Trump didn't go along with a deal." Now, first of all, if we look at the economic numbers alone, we know that the economy is not just doing fine. Two, he's suggesting that the economy is so strong because President Trump did not go along with the deal. However, if you guys remember, President Trump was one of the biggest proponents for an additional larger stimulus package out of all the Republicans. But according to House of Representatives Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, 30 million people in this country are at risk of eviction. Millions of people are unemployed or underemployed from cutback hours. The economy is not the stock market. We are not doing just fine. People need help in red states and blue, and our job is to help everyone. This is basic. When I see statements like this coming from one of Trump's top economic advisors, this lets me know that there is a clear disconnect between the White House and the American people. It appeared as though Mitch McConnell was celebrating after the November election after being re-elected into the Senate. Immediately after winning the November election and being re-elected into the Senate, Mitch McConnell indicated that his first order of business was to get a stimulus bill or a stimulus package passed for the American people before Christmas. But in spite of these big, bold claims from Mitch McConnell indicating that he would have a stimulus package passed by the end of the year, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have had to demand that Mitch McConnell return to the negotiating table for the next stimulus package for the American people. With the end of the year quickly approaching, time is running out, and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi as well as Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer sent Mitch McConnell an urgent letter to essentially come back to the negotiating table to negotiate a stimulus package for the American people before the end of the year. So I want to quickly share this letter with you. And so 2 days ago, Nancy Pelosi as well as Chuck Schumer wrote a letter to Mitch McConnell, and it says, "We are encouraged by your comments shortly after the election that you believe that the Congress needs to act on another virus relief package, and that it's a possibility we will do more for state and local governments." That's a direct quote coming from Mitch McConnell. He said he would do more for state and local governments. He went on to say that we agree with you. We write to request that you join us at the negotiating table this week so that we can work toward a bipartisan, bicameral virus relief agreement to crush the virus and save American lives. The dual public and economic crises caused by the virus continue to devastate communities across the United States. What is becoming clear to all Americans is that we cannot achieve real economic recovery until we address the expanding public health crisis. Confirmed virus cases are skyrocketing across the country, with reporting averaging over 100,000 cases and more than 1,000 deaths per day. Last Friday, the U.S. recorded more than 181,000 new cases, the highest number to date in the pandemic. Deaths from the virus have increased 50% in the last month. Hospital ICUs and morgues in many parts of the country are approaching or beyond capacity, with temporary hospital tents and mobile morgues being deployed in a number of states. Hospitalization set a national record for 3 days in a row last week. Over 20 million Americans are receiving unemployment insurance, with critical unemployment insurance benefits expiring at the end of December, and 5 million Americans in long-term unemployment on track to exhaust their benefits soon. Our small businesses and state, local, and tribal governments are warning of dramatic closures and cutoffs if Congress does not act immediately. Now, here's the thing that strikes me as odd. It's the local people that elect senators and House of Representative members. So Mitch McConnell was reelected by the residents of Kentucky. So I don't understand how Mitch McConnell has no idea what's really going on the ground outside of the White House. Now, I just can't even imagine how it could be possible that Mitch McConnell could be so disconnected to think that the American people would not need additional stimulus money, stimulus checks, reinstatement of the federal unemployment insurance benefits, as well as a number of other key benefits that have or will be expiring shortly. Earlier this year, with negotiations with Secretary Mnuchin and Chief of Staff Meadows, we agreed to compromise on a relief package and lowered our request by $1.2 trillion. Since that time, you have lowered your proposal from $1 trillion to $500 billion, despite the consensus from economists and experts that the country requires a much larger injection of aid. Meaningful relief requires aid to schools, small businesses, and individuals where the virus has torn through their communities and left many people stranded without help. Hospitals need more support to help save those who are sick, and state and local governments need funding for essential workers and to distribute vaccines. Millions of unemployed Americans and those facing eviction and hunger demand action from their leaders. The time to act is upon us like never before. The virus pandemic and economic recession will not end without our help. It is essential that this bill have sufficient funding and delivers meaningful relief to the many Americans who are suffering. For the sake of our country, we ask that you come to the table and work with us to produce an agreement that meets America's needs in the critical time. For the sake of the country, we ask that you come to the table and work with us to produce an agreement that meets America's needs in this critical time. So as you can see, this is the letter that was written by Nancy Pelosi as well as Chuck Schumer and sent to Mitch McConnell. And according to Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell has been labeled as the Dr. No of virus relief negotiations. The Social Security Administration announced a 1.3% benefits increase for the year 2021 for Social Security beneficiaries. And so what this amounts to is that since the average Social Security payment is $1,503 per month, that's approximately $234 extra per year. And so for the maximum possible Social Security benefit, that equates to $469 per year. But that's not all. According to Joe Biden's plan, Joe Biden is expected to make some major changes within Social Security. And according to what we're hearing, this is great news for those of you receiving Social Security benefits, SSI, SSDI beneficiaries. It's been said that Joe Biden's campaign has leaned heavily on the promise to address the Social Security solvency problem. According to the Director of Economic Policy, we're long overdue for this conversation, and it's causing great uncertainty for people who are either on the program now or are going to be on the program soon. That's not how we should be running one of the most important safety net programs in our country. According to the Social Security Administration, projected in April, its funds could be depleted as early as 2035, at which point only 79% of benefits would be payable. Those estimates did not take the virus pandemic into account. And in fact, recent estimates from the Bipartisan Policy Center indicated that in worst case scenario, the disability fund could run out as soon as 2023 or even 2024. But the really good news coming from the Biden administration is that Biden's Social Security platform includes key benefit increases. And we understand that this is supposed to be benefiting those receiving Social Security, SSI, and SSDI. Eligible workers would get a guaranteed minimum benefit increase to at least 125% of the federal poverty level. People who have received benefits for at least 20 years would get a 5% bump, and widows and widowers will receive 20% more per month. And so based on our $1,503 example for the average Social Security benefit being paid out, that 20% increase per month for widows and widowers would equate to an additional $300 per month. So that would be a huge benefit for those on Social Security, SSI, or SSDI. Also, Biden also proposes changing the measurement for annual cost of living increases to the Consumer Price Index for the elderly, or CPEI, which could more closely track the expenses that retirees face. And, based on the comments that I frequently get from you guys, in the comments of my videos down below, many of you guys have commented that, since the pandemic, cost of food, milk, eggs, and different grocery items have been going up. And so a lot of times those aren't necessarily measured in the indexes that are looked at in terms of inflation. So many people on Social Security and SSI are left out because they're not aware of some of these smaller incremental increases that many people who are on fixed incomes face every single day. And probably the best news of all is that Biden's virus stimulus plan calls for increasing Social Security checks by $200 per month during the pandemic, an idea that was also proposed by other politicians. So it's not just Biden on this one. He's got a lot of support from additional politicians. So that's an extra $2,400 per year. So, we're really hoping, fingers crossed that Biden can get this enacted, sometime after Christmas, early 2021. Social Security and SSI, SSDI beneficiaries should hopefully be able to start seeing that extra, $2,400 per year if Biden can make this happen. He's got a lot of support from additional politicians. So those on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, I'm thinking that this is great news. As long as Biden can pull through on these promises, I think it's going to be incredibly helpful for a lot of people in the community. Quick heads up to anyone who has not received the original $1,200 stimulus check from the federal government. Saturday, November 21st is the deadline in order to get your money. I wanted to give you guys a quick heads up on that. It says here that if you haven't received your $1,200 stimulus check yet, you may be in luck. There's one last deadline to submit your information to the government in order to receive your payment this year, but you have to get it in before 3 p.m. on Saturday on the 21st of November. If you're able to get your filing in by the 21st, because of the CARES Act, you'll be able to receive up to $1,200 per individual or $2,400 per married couple, plus the $500 per child under age 17. The IRS is encouraging people in those situations to use the non-filer tool on its website before November 21st. So you guys can just Google IRS non-filer tool and it'll come right up. But anyway, guys, that's all for this stimulus check update and stimulus package update. I do hope that you guys got some value out of this video. If you did, definitely share this video on Facebook. You never know who out there can benefit from this information. A lot of people are wondering, what's going on with their second stimulus check. So anyway, guys, if you haven't subscribed already, definitely subscribe. Tap the notification bell so you know as soon as I release new videos and content. And I will see you guys on the next one.